Welcome to the Bivouac. This is the game of Void, also known as Human Amazons. To play this game, you're going to need at least 2 people, a grid-based system, as well as burn tokens. And these burn tokens should have an alternative that you are able to throw, because you will be throwing these throughout the game. For this example, we are going to be playing on a scale model. Normally, Void is played on a human scale, which means each one of these grid squares is going to be about a foot by foot in diameter, versus on this where they're only, an inch or 2. And these people, these representations of people, are actual people standing on the grid. To begin this game, the first player will choose any square on the grid to place themselves on. Then every player following will place themselves anywhere on the grid that isn't next to another player. So I could go right here, but I could not go right here because it is next to a player that's already on the board. That rule only applies when you are placing yourselves on the grid and does not apply for the rest of the game. Once all players have placed down themselves, the player who placed themselves first will also go first. On your turn, you first must move yourself. When you move like a queen does on a chessboard, so as far as you can or want, in a horizontal, vertical, or diagonal way. So let's say I would go here, or I could go there, or I could go here. I'm gonna go right there. From my new position, I must then fire. And I can fire in 2 different ways. The first way is just like the Amazon's way. We'll call it the set-down way. When you use the set-down way, you will choose a spot that is as far as you can shoot in a horizontal or vertical or diagonal way that is not obstructed by anything else, for instance, another player or an already burned tile. And you will set down your burned piece. So let's say I want to burn here. I will just walk over, set it down. I'm still there in this spot, but I've burned this tile. When a tile is burned, you can no longer move through it, move onto it, shoot through it, or shoot onto it. The same goes through another pawn. A reminder, you're not allowed to move through or onto another player's spot, or shoot through or shoot onto another player's occupied tile. The second option you can choose in a game is to throw your burn token. The most useful spot for this is in a situation like the following. Say you have obscured yourself entirely from the other player. Of course, this is a dramatized way of what this would happen. In normal Amazons, you cannot pass this wall of burned tiles because there is no access point for you to move through or shoot through. But in the game of Void, you can choose to, instead of setting down your burn token, you can instead choose to throw it. So from your tile, you say, I want to go over here. You're going to throw your burn token, and wherever it makes first contact with the ground, that tile is considered burned. Now, if you were to miss in some way, shape, or form, for instance, you went completely off the map, or you hit a tile that was already burned or occupied by another player, then you've lost your opportunity to throw, and you must revert back to the set-down way and set down a tile somewhere else. But if you did hit one, that's considered burned, and that's your burn for the time. You're not allowed to do both. You cannot do both a set down and a throw. And if you were to miss and hit a different tile, that considered one is burned as well. So if I were aiming for this one and hit this one first, I would instead burn that one. If you ever get into the position where you must move and cannot, for instance like this, or even like this, this pawn is considered burned, and it burns the tile it stands on, and it's out of the game. If you find yourself without any pawns, you've lost. And that is the entirety of Void. Good luck.